درود بر شما. نیکای کوثر هستم در واشنگتن دی سی. برنامه دیگر از مجموعه آبانگان رو می‌بینید. همونطوری که میدونید آلودگی هوای شهرهای بزرگ در کشورمون باعث ایجاد ناراحتی‌های زیادی شده. گفته میشه که مرگ و میر ناشی از آلودگی هم افزایش یافته. عیسی کلانتری رئیس سازمان حفاظت از محیط زیست گفته است که برای اینکه آلودگی رفع بشه باید دعا کنیم که باد بیاید. به این ترتیب با توجه به اینکه بودجه سال 97 اعلام شده معلوم نیست چقدر از این بودجه بایستی صرف دعا کردن برای اومدن باد باشه. لازم به ذکره که در جمهوری اسلامی بسیاری از سیاستمداران عضو حزب باد هستند و با هر بادی از این طرف به اون طرف جابجا میشن و مواضعشون تغییر میکنه. از جمله خود آقای کلانتری که زمانی جزو منتقدان سدسازی و همچنین انتقال آب بود، اما الان تبدیل به یکی از طرفداران و توجیه کنندگان انتقال آب از رودخانه کارون شده. در شرایطی که در طی یک دهه اخیر میزان بارش برف در چهارمحال و بختیاری منشأ کارون کاهش بسیار زیادی پیدا کرده و منابع آب کارون کاهش یافته به نحوی که در بسیاری از روزهای سال اهواز شاهد یک باریکه خشک شده است به جای کارون، کلانتری به همراه دیگران معتقده که میشه با صرفه‌جویی در مصرف آب کشاورزی کارون حدود 1 میلیارد متر مکعب از اون رو فرستاد به رفسنجان. انتقال آب به رفسنجان طرحی است که آیت الله هاشمی رفسنجانی یا حجت الاسلام هاشمی رفسنجانی پیشین دنبال اون بود، چرا که به خاطر مصرف بیش از حد آبهای زیرزمینی منطقه رفسنجان و نشست زمین آب کافی برای سود بردن بخشی از پسته‌کاران وجود نداشت. انتقال آب به رفسنجان طبیعتاً برای شرب نیست، با اینکه ادعا شده هر انتقال آبی فقط با اینکه اگر برای شرب باشه قابل توجیه است. حتی انتقال آب به یزد هم مشخص شده که باز هم برای شرب نبوده و برای خنک کردن فولاد آب دیده است، البته آب ندیده به نحوی. با این ترتیب یک پیشنهاد به ذهن برخی ها اومده و اون هم این است که برای انتقال آب لازم به رفسنجان برای پسته و برای اینکه پسته‌کاران محترم اونجا آسیب نبینن، اون آب شور مازادی که موجود هست در سد گتوند رو چطوره بفرستیم به رفسنجان. طبیعتاً پسته‌های اونجا پیش از اینکه نمکسود بشن به وسیله این آب شور میتونند شوری کافی رو پیدا کنند. البته برخی معتقدند که این امکان وجود داره که برخی‌ها سرمایه‌گذاری بکنن و با انتقال شکر تولید شده از طرح توسعه نیشکر که آقای کلانتری دنبالش بوده و باعث نابودی بخشی از شادگان شده و آبهای اونجا رو شور کرده، چطور اون شکر رو با نمک گتوند قاطی کرد و ORS تولید کرد و بلکه مشکلات بسیاری از تصمیم‌گیری‌های دولت روحانی هم حل بشه.
اوپس.
در برنامه پیشین آبانگان بخش نخست گفتگویم رو با دکتر کریستین کاکرل دیدید و شنیدید. بحث عمده خانم کاکرل این هست که نمیتوان راه حل قطعی برای مشکلات آب و هر مشکل دیگری رو در نظر گرفت و بایستی به دنبال مدیریت مشکل بود. این مسئله شاید برای خیلی ها قابل قبول نباشه، چه سیاستمداران پوپولیست همیشه سعی کردن راه حل هایی رو ارائه بدن برای رفع همه مشکل ها، اما در عمل دیدیم که آیا مشکل اقتصادی حل شد یا نشد، مشکل آب حل شد یا نشد، دریاچه ارومیه پر از آب شد یا نشد. دیدیم که آقای روحانی در تبلیغات انتخاباتی خودش چگونه دفاع میکرد از طرح‌هایی که میخواست ارائه بده، اما در نتیجه کار دیده ایم که حتی سطح دریاچه ارومیه پایین‌تر اومده، سطح آب‌های زیرزمینی کشور پایین‌تر اومده و طرح‌های انتقال آب که مضر تشخیص داده شده بودند دارن 2 مرتبه راه اندازی میشن. مسئله مهم در مورد دریاچه ارومیه این هست که این دریاچه به واسطه سدهایی که اطرافش زده شد و چاهای بسیار زیادی که حفر شد و برای کشاورزی مصرف شده عملاً از دست رفته. دریاچه‌ای که در بهترین حالت 31 میلیارد متر مکعب آب بایستی داشته باشه، در حالت قابل قبول 20 میلیارد، ولی در حال حاضر حدود 500 میلیون متر مکعب آب داره و حتی کمتر. این دریاچه کم عمق با تبخیر بیشتر آب بیشتری رو هم از دست میده و هر وقت دولت اعلام میکنه که الان آب رهاسازی شده و بخشی از دریاچه رو الان مردم دیدن و ازش عکس انداختن و خیلی شاد بودن، بعداً متوجه شدن که با اندکی تبخیر همون آب هم از بین رفته. با توجه به اینکه بودجه جدید سازمان حفاظت محیط زیست اعلام شده و عملاً شاهد تغییر قابل قبولی هم نیستیم و بودجه هایی که لازم هست برای حل مشکل دریاچه ارومیه خبری ازش نیست، میتوان گفت که در دولت روحانی اتفاق خاصی نخواهد افتاد. بخش دوم گفتگویم با دکتر کریستین کاکریل رو با هم ببینیم و بشنویم.
There's no universalist response because just like democratic societies are really different, undemocratic societies are also really different. And finding that point where you can leverage something without endangering yourself or your family.
So in a way there's no solution to that.
There is
we
not.
have to manage it.
We have to manage it, and you have to know what your local conditions are to manage it. Again, I would never propose, right, change often happens because people are willing to take tremendous risk.
Yes.
At the same time, I don't necessarily want to say that I'm urging people to take things that are going to harm them or their families, but there are things that we can all do just as individuals in terms of our water use, in terms of pushing the envelope, if you will. Again, if you're in a society where it's okay to talk to a journalist without jeopardizing your security. Exactly. Do it. Do it.
Yes.
Talk to the local nonprofit, if there is one. Talk to, and again, start spreading that word. Again, in all societies, when we look historically, that's often been how things change.
We saw what happened in Syria. There was less and less precipitation from, let's say, the 90s, and then there was bad water governance by the Syrian regime, and then we had the dams built on the rivers that in Turkey, the GOP project that stopped a part of the flow to Syria and Iraq. So in, let's say, 2006 to 2009, more than 1 million farmers, herders had to evacuate wherever they were living at, leave their lands alone, and go to the margins of bigger cities. And that is considered a trigger, one of the triggers of the civil war.
Sure.
Now we have this situation in other countries in the Middle East. There are millions of people, like let's say in Iran, have had to leave their farms and live on the margins of cities. It was around 11 million people in 2013. It was 16 million last year, and people think that it might reach, experts think that it might reach around 20 to 22 million in 4 years.
Right.
And this would possibly create you can say a deja vu situation or something like that in Iran if you compare it with what happened in Syria. So when we don't have solutions, and when the system is not capable of managing the situation, then what?
This is why it's complicated, this is why it's complex, right? So now we're talking about not just obviously localized water systems, but the minute you start having they're called transboundary water issues where the water doesn't know that it's crossing political boundaries. The river doesn't care that it's crossing political boundaries. Obviously, human societies care very much about where those political boundaries are. And this is another great example of thinking you're providing a solution to a problem by building a dam, which for some people, for the people that the dam is serving, things may be better. but it has unintended consequences. And those unintended consequences aren't always affecting the same group of people, right, as we cross those borders. And so moving forward, this is where my point earlier to your question about how do people in non-democratic societies function, we have to expand that globally. That, again, letting people know, I would argue, right, people who don't study water and people who don't know much about what's happening in the Middle East, they don't know that these things are happening. They want the simple response that, oh, the Turkish government is evil, and that's a populist, simple response. This dictator, this ruler is bad. It's more complicated than that, right? Everyone needs water. Everyone needs water. And so every political institution that's responsible for providing water is trying to do what they deem best for their situation. Again, we have to start sort of at a local level to make sure people understand what's happening, right? Your program is a great place to talk about it. But then in these cases, you have to engage the governments. You have to engage from the top down with the people who actually have power. And I don't have a simple answer. There is no singular solution. This is part of the global movement now for thinking about water at a bigger scale. Many European countries obviously are very concerned, and even though they may not directly relate the water issue to the refugee issue they're seeing in their own countries, talking about this may help put that in bigger perspective, may help people recognize that no, this really is about a resource issue in part, and therefore as governments in other parts of the world, we do need to engage. We're going to have to engage because now it is affecting us. Does that make sense? People are much more likely to react once they go, oh, okay, I need to be thinking about what's going on with this dam in Turkey because it is why we are seeing this movement in my European or my North American country related to immigration. And helping people make those connections, that all of these issues are interconnected. It is important because then I can think about who do I vote for in my democratic country that might help address this. Again, this is convoluted, and as you and I have already talked about, this is part of the issue, is that you have to have a long conversation. There's no pithy 30-second response that I can say, here's what you do.
Finally, my big question is that could possibly nonviolent actions by local activists interconnected from different parts of, let's say, undemocratic countries be a way to manage the regimes, not as to resolve the problem, but to manage and somehow put the spotlight on what has happened, so the regimes would feel accountable a little bit, because what we have in those regimes is lack of accountability and decision making from up to down, and nobody is going to pay for their wrong decision making.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think that is definitely one way forward when we're talking about water, because again, everyone from the individual to the government needs water. We cannot live without it. And it's not just us, literally, our bodies needing it. It's that we have to have it to maintain societies. You need it for industry. You need it for growing your food. You need it for everything. And so, absolutely, I think as local advocacy groups, local nonprofits, just local communities make their voices heard, and again, helping them make these connections, helping individuals not fall into the populist us versus them, they're bad, helping diffuse those kinds of arguments and helping them see the complexity. where they don't. In many cases, obviously, the local populations are fully aware of the complexity. And then again, networking, I think with mass media, with social media, that word now can get out, that message can get out rapidly, and to many audiences that you might not anticipate initially. And I think that does put pressure on governments. I think that does put pressure on, again, in the democratic societies, I can put pressure on my government to say, you need to pay attention to this, because it's not just over there.
Right.
And I think that's probably going to be a productive way forward. And I think it's happening in some places.
تا درودی دیگر، بدرود.